So I'm Jen Matson. I'm the payroll manager here with Easter Seals. We have Sarah Cleveland. She's actually on the call. She does the time processing and records. She helps with all of the NEO stuff as well. So Sarah's here, and Kristen, who is my boss, she's the human resource director, but if ever it's an urgent thing and I myself or Sarah are not available, you can always reach out to Kristen. You can reach me and Sarah very quickly by emailing us at payroll@esmw.org, or you can send either one of us a message through Teams at any time. That right now, that's quicker. Our in-office days are kind of limited right now still. And Teams, I always suggest Teams, because especially if you're having a time card problem, we can share screens, jump on a call real quick, share screens, and get it corrected for you. So we're going to kind of talk about some general payroll information. We're going to talk about the payroll calendar first. So the payroll calendar you can find at any time in ADP itself. You're going to log into ADP. You're going to go to the My Company tab, Company Information, and then select Resources. Under that, on the left-hand side, you're going to see the payroll calendars, and you're just going to click the current year payroll calendar. We will be uploading the 2023 payroll calendar shortly, but those are all available there for you. There are also hard copies available as you're walking into the HR department. It's kind of that we have that information wall as you walk into the HR department across from the copy machine. There are hard copies of the current payroll calendar there as well. And of course, this is our payroll calendar. Excuse me. So on the left here, we have our start and end dates. These are the actual pay periods. So these are the 2 weeks that you're working. And then next to that, to the right of that, is the actual pay date. So if you worked December 20th, that pay date is going to be January 14th. The larger section in the payroll calendar is tools for you to help know when you need to approve, when your staff need to approve, when the payday is, and office closure days. So if it's kind of this yellow, beige yellow, light yellow color, that is the date that the employee should be reviewing and approving their previous pay period's time. The blue date is the manager date. So once we get into the actual calendar, you're going to see that Monday after the payday is when the staff should be reviewing and approving that previous pay period. So the 17th is when they're reviewing and approving, and that's for the pay date on the 28th. It's for the period worked starting the 3rd and ending the 16th. They should be reviewing and approving on the 17th. Managers should be reviewing and approving on the 18th. And then that makes sure that we can get all of payroll completed by the 28th and paid. Everybody's happy when they get their check on time. In that resources tab, there are some other really helpful job aids. There's benefit information. There's the performance management, which we all know is due right. We're all supposed to be working on that right now, getting those done. There is employee discount information, all of the wellness newsletters that the benefits department works so hard on, those are there. This is also where the employee handbook is. So a lot of times we get questions about PTO, different policies from Easter Seals. Those are all going to be here in that employee handbook. So you'll be able to review that, same as staff. They can review those at any time. And the newest addition to payroll is that Pay Active. So here's some Pay Active resources are listed in there as well. So I know you guys get a lot of questions from staff on where to find things in ADP. So even when a staff leaves employment with Easter Seals, they still will always have access to ADP. And that's so that they can get their pay statements, their W-2s. So even terminated staff still have access to ADP. And once employees log in, they're also going to use that My Self tab. And there are a ton of self-service options in there. That's where they're going to find their pay statements, if they need to change their direct deposit, if they need to change their tax withholdings, they want to get their W-2. It's also where they're going to change their address and phone number, which there's probably, we hope, going to be a lot of that coming up here. It's the end of the year. W-2s will start going out. So if staff do have a change of address, if they've moved throughout the year, they're going to want to make sure they get in there and get that updated so that when we mail the W-2 to them, they'll have that go to the correct address, because as we know, W-2s are not forwarded. Just as a side note, payroll cannot update direct deposit or tax withholdings for employees. That they have to do that in the self-service. I do recommend that if you are changing your direct deposit or your taxes, that you do that on a computer, laptop, tablet, and not the phone. Sometimes cell phones don't allow for those pop-ups, and especially direct deposit, it does require a pop-up. It says, hey, we need to verify your identity. We're going to send you a text, enter the text into this message. So if a staff's phone or your phone doesn't allow for pop-ups, you may not get that. It looks like it saved the direct deposit, but it actually didn't. So we're going to want to make sure that we use a laptop or tablet or computer, like in home, to make sure that those direct deposits are updated. So payday is everyone's favorite day. You guys work hard, our staff works hard, and everybody should be paid correctly and on time every payday. When they aren't, it does cause turnover, bad feelings, and can create a lot of other trickle-down negative effects. Here at Easter Seals, our payroll is on average about 1,600 employees every payday. Our payroll is bi-weekly payroll, and it's paid 2 weeks in arrears. So pay periods start on Monday and end on Sunday. However, overtime is calculated on a weekly basis. So you don't have to work 80 hours to get overtime. The first week you work 40, anything over 40 is overtime. The second week is the same. If you work over 40, then you get the overtime. In the payroll department, we can't begin doing anything until time is complete. So as you know, we have a lot of, as managers, you know, temp caseload, temp shift forms. We have the COVID positive pay right now. We have sign-on bonuses. All of those different things all have to be done in time, but I can't start that until time cards are complete. So that means that they've been reviewed, all errors corrected, and approved. And in order to pay all staff by Friday, I have to have payroll completed by Monday. And there's so many different time-related steps and then payroll steps to complete a payroll. And the time cards are literally just the first step. So why is accurate timekeeping important? Well, it's to ensure correct and timely pay. When people are paid wrong or paid late, their trust for their employer is broken. So employees begin to talk poorly about the employer to their coworkers, to their friends, to their family. And we all know negative information, or when there's negative feelings, that spreads on average 10 times faster than positive. If you got your check on time and it was right, you're not gonna go around bragging to everybody. It's what it's supposed to be. But if your check is wrong or it's late, then everybody knows. And it can cause really good employees to quit. Incorrect pay causes you guys and us additional time and work in investigations, paperwork, and processing. Missing or incorrect pay can cause the employee financial hardships and extra charges in their bank for late, missed payments, bounce check fees, late fees, along those lines. So then the employee just gets further and further behind and in a financial hole. Inaccurate timekeeping and or payroll processing is a violation of the Federal Labor Standards Act, governed by the U.S. Department of Labor. When employees are not paid correctly due to inaccurate time practices, it will trigger a DOL audit. This is an extremely extensive audit done by the United States Department of Labor, and it can result in fines and penalties to Easter Seals if we're found to have inaccurate data or time inconsistencies. Consistency in following processes are key to being compliant with FLSA laws. I know sometimes it can seem, I reach out a lot and, it's not just to be picking on anyone. There are a lot of laws, state and federal, that payroll has to follow in order to be compliant. And so when I reach out with those things, it's just to make sure that Easter Seals is working within the laws, that we won't receive a fine, we won't receive an audit. I'm trying to keep us on the good side of the government, basically, both the federal and state government. Did you know that there are many other things that can affect the accuracy of payroll? Job titles, term dates, transfers. So if a staff's job title is incorrect, their holiday differentials, weekend differentials, PTO accruals, all of that is tied to the job title of a staff. So if a staff is working in one job title but has a different job title, they're being paid incorrectly, most likely. When a staff terms, but the termination isn't processed, this delays any PTO payouts, if applicable, and it delays the benefit reimbursements and COBRA notifications. So again, going back to federal and state law, we only have so many days to send out COBRA notifications. We have to do that within a certain time frame, or we're under penalty. So when a staff is showing as working, but they're not, and they don't have hours, all of that information is delayed. Also, if a staff is trying to get a home loan or any other kind of loan, actually, it will show in Work Number that they are an active staff with us, and that's giving them inaccurate information for whatever they're trying to do in their personal lives. Transfers. If a staff moves to a new location and a transfer isn't completed, the billing will be incorrect. And also, if the staff is eligible for specialized home differentials, they may not be receiving those differentials. So they're being paid incorrectly and they're being short paid. So back to kind of that payroll calendar, in order to complete payroll so that all staff are paid on time and correctly, and they're happy with their paychecks. Staff have to review and approve their personal time by end of day Monday after payday. Supervisors and managers must review, correct, and approve their team's time cards by end of day Tuesday after payday. And then on Wednesday, we start emailing management teams, right? And I'm sure some of you have been on the emails that we receive. If you receive that email, there's someone on your team with either unapproved time or a missing punch. If you don't think that that's correct, reach out to Sarah or myself, because there might just be an issue where, either there's timing, we have to pull everything and send that email out to everyone. Maybe you've corrected it in between that time, or maybe there's an error on that time card that you just can't see, and we will work together to get that fixed. So if you just don't know how to fix it and you see that they're on there and you don't know how to fix that time, again, reach out to us. We're happy to help. Please don't just ignore the email. There's something that we need you to do if you are on that email. Payroll forms. Payroll forms are located in the G Drive. So if you go onto the G Drive, select agency forms, and then select payroll forms, all the payroll forms are going to be listed there. The most common are temp shift forms, temp caseload forms, out of program, retro, and holiday bonus forms. All forms have to be completed and submitted to payroll by the Friday after payday at noon. So that in between Friday, in between paydays, all those forms need to be submitted to me by noon. So if you're trying to complete a form that needs a signature, please don't wait till Friday to do the form and then send it to the director in order for that approval, because it will not make it back to us in time. So make sure that those forms are done early, submitted to your management so that we can get those done and everybody gets paid on time. So by law, we always have to pay what an employee works. This goes back to that Department of Labor and FLSA laws. So if there's a question as to whether or not an employee physically worked the hours they clocked, it is important to err on the side of the employee. So if a question comes up and you're not sure if the employee actually worked, but they clocked in and out, then the management team will need to investigate that shift. Please do not delete the clocked hours on what were unless you can physically prove that the staff physically was not on site or working. If you're unable to prove that the employee clocked in for any amount of time that they did not work, we cannot adjust the time. Instead, this becomes an HR issue and may turn into a write-up, investigations, and possibly termination. If the employee worked overtime that is not authorized, or if they came in early on their shift or they left late from their shift, we have to pay the hours that they worked. We have to pay that overtime. Then that becomes a counseling issue again, and may constitute a write-up, but that becomes an issue, an HR issue with the staff. If they clocked in and they were there and they worked, we have to pay it. All employees are required to clock in and clock out. Supervisors, managers, directors, you guys should not be entering time for staff unless absolutely necessary. We know sometimes, things get hectic. They get to the home and immediately they're pulled in, and they may not have gotten to clock in. Those should be exceptions and not the rule. So you guys are busy and don't have time to constantly enter all shifts for staff. They should be clocking in and out. If they're struggling to clock in and clock out, there are trainings available, there are job aids available, and we can get the staff the help that they need to learn how to clock in and clock out. But if you do have staff that are consistently not clocking in and out and you're always entering their time, make sure you get staff the training they need. And if you need help with that, you can always reach out to myself, to Sarah, or to Kristen. Their time should be accurate and approved by them on Monday prior to a manager's approval. We really want staff to start being accountable for their time. So if they're clocking in and out every day, they should be approving their time as well. And then of course, you guys need to complete your approvals by the end of day Tuesday. This goes into those Wednesday emails. So if you receive that email, there is someone we need you to pay attention to on your team in that email. This is kind of what the email looks. I know we've updated it a little bit. The blue is for time cards that still need to be approved, and the yellow is for missing punches. So the email has some basic instructions on there. It's color coded. It tells you what to look for. And then everybody in that list is someone that needs attention. So there's a problem in that time card. Either there's missing punches, there are incorrect hours being put on a time card, there are maybe PTO for a part-time staff, there's not the time card is not approved. There's somebody on that has a problem. Workforce manager. It is fairly new to all of us. We've been running it for about 5 months now, but Workforce Manager is our time system and our scheduling tool combined. So community living and autism teams utilize the scheduling software, and all of us utilize the time software. So Workforce Manager is accessed one of two ways. You can log into ADP, select the My Team tab, then go to Workforce Management, and then select Dashboard. You can also access by downloading and utilizing the My Work app on your phone. Please know that My Work app is 2 words. There's another My Work app out there that's a little bit different, but ours is the My Work with 2 words. And this is the dashboard. And we've got managed time cards, our own personal PTO, our schedule, our own time card. When you are going to approve your time card, we should all be doing it in the My Time card. Time off requests. All staff are required to submit a PTO request through Workforce. When requesting PTO, the staff schedule should be adhered to. So for example, salary staff, you may not work 9 a.m. to 5, you may work 7 to 3, you may work 10 to 6, but in the system, your schedule is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you're requesting a PTO day as a salary staff, you should be entering 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then that will give you that 8 hours of PTO for that full day. Staff, sometimes what I see is they forget to put in those AM, PM. So it's really important to put in AM and PM. Otherwise, it's going to automatically default to AM, which is where we're getting those 20 hours of PTO, 24 hours of PTO. It's just simply an error in forgetting to put in the AM and PM when entering the time in the PTO request. If you're supported by a workforce management team, your workforce manager will review, edit, and approve PTO requests from staff. All other teams, you're able to edit, approve, or reject a request. So you can view the request by selecting the bell in the upper right-hand corner, or by finding the My Notifications tile and clicking the Employee Request line, and that will open the control center. Select the request, and you're going to see those details. Please note that delete here only delete your notification. So if you delete that notification, you cannot go back in and see it again. You can't edit it, you can't change it. You're always, if you're trying to cancel a request, you're always going to select that cancel button. And again, there's edit, approve, and refuse. So viewing staff's time. Again, it's a little bit different in Workforce Manager than it was working with the Vantage time that we had previously. So you're going to find that Manage Time Cards tile that we kind of looked at before. And you're either going to select this arrow here, or you're just going to select all time cards. Remember, it's going to automatically open a time card. So the first person in your department's list, that's who's going to pull up. You can use this drop down here, and it's going to give you a list, and you can kind of scroll down. You can start typing here the last name, and it will start to kind of help search for that. So in this case, that was just a test account. Or you can use these arrows here. So we know there's 90 employees in this group. We can either hit the right arrow or the left arrow, obviously forward or backward. This will open the time cards one at a time, and this helps you search when you do this drop down. So when you go into time cards, you're going to see the whole department on all time screens. However, you can use a hyperfind to filter it down to your direct reports. This little guy here, that is actually the hyperfind. So you're just going to click the arrow next to that little hyperfind, and you're going to scroll down to what you need. Direct reports only, and all home are the most common, but really direct reports only is the most common to use. Direct reports is going to show only staff that report to you, and then home shows all active staff available to you. You can also change the pay period, and you can narrow down the dates to be more specific. So you sometimes, if you go into your own time card, it's going to automatically pull up current pay period. So you can change to previous or current, depending on what you're looking for. Or if you select the calendar there, you can bring up a date range, and you can actually select specific dates that you want to look at for that staff. So, and staff do have this availability on their own time card as well. So that will help them and you if you're looking for something further back than just the previous pay period. Sometimes it's necessary to enter an entire shift for a staff or training hours, which training hours should always be clocked in and clocked out with the training rule. Meetings, staff should be clocking in and clocking out. Again, if staff are not clocking in and out for shifts or for training, please reach out to that staff and coach them on how to clock in and out and why it's super important for that. If there are no entries already on a date and you need to add it, you can simply just click in the inbox, type your clock in time, the staff's clock in time. Again, please make sure to remember the AM and PM. If you hit tab, that'll take you to that transfer set. And that's where you're going to enter the business structure. And then you're going to hit tab again and enter the clock out again with that AM or PM. If there's an entry already there, you would just need to hit the plus sign, and that will add a second line underneath what they've already clocked. So transfer codes, adding that business structure. If you need to add a different location, activity, or funder than the staff's home assignment, or you need to add a work rule like training or a sleep, you'll do this in the time card. So when you have the time card pulled up, you're going to select the transfer cell and then select search. So there's a little drop down, you'll just select search. And on the right hand side of your screen, you're going to see a new window pop up. You're just going to select the add business structure at the bottom. And you can search for a location by entering that. If you click the X, it'll clear everything out of there. And you can type in the location, hit the magnifying glass, and it's going to bring up jobs associated with that location. Select the right one. And then that enters the location. The only time you're going to enter a work role is when you're doing training hours or in a sleep overnight. But you're going to need to add the labor category, and that adds the activity and the funder. So if you're just doing this step here, the transfer and the billing may not be correct. So you need to make sure that you enter the add labor category, and you're going to add the activity and add the funder. You're going to select OK. And then again, you can go back and add a work rule if you need to add it for training. So hourly staff are required to clock in and out for training and use the training work rule. Training is usually applied to a staff's home location. So in the transfer column, select search, add the work rule, and then select training. If needed, you can add in any other required transfer codes at that time, or just select apply. And then asleep, the asleep rule should feed over from the staff schedule. So it should automatically be there, but if you need to add it because the staff forgot to clock in and clock out, then that's when you're going to add that asleep rule. Asleep is paid at $12 an hour for a specific period during an asleep overnight shift. The asleep rule is only compatible with community living floater, front half, back half community living specialist, and front half, back half community living supervisors. Deleting time. If you have added something that shouldn't be added, you can fix it. You're just going to go ahead and select that minus, and that deletes the entire line. If you delete the wrong line, you can refresh the time card. Just don't hit save. Refresh it first. It'll populate that time back in there for you. Correcting missing punches. So on your workforce homepage is a manage time cards tile. And this tile gives you kind of a quick view of problems and unapproved time. So you can select the arrow in the manage time cards tile, or you can select the all time cards link. And then you can view the time cards by either, again, selecting the arrows or just scrolling through the names here by hitting the down arrow. To correct a missing punch, you're just going to simply click in the red box and enter the missing punch. Make sure to enter your AM or PM. When correcting an overnight missing punch, sometimes you have to search for that associated punch. So I'm going to go through an example. And in this example, the staff is missing a clock in on an overnight. And they work a lot of overnights. So it can be very difficult to kind of find where this matches, because we've got a lot of different clock outs and on the next day, and a lot of purples. So the first thing I want to point out is these purples are automatically put in. So if a staff clocks in at 7:47 p.m. and then clocks out at 8:12 a.m., that midnight is just a transfer. So it's just showing that, hey, they worked till midnight on 10/9, and then they're working midnight to 8:12 on 10:10. You don't need to enter those. When you're entering a missed overnight punch, you're just going to enter the clock in time and the clock out time. These purple midnights will automatically pop up for you. But this is kind of clunky. As you can see, it's on the previous pay period. So here's where changing that date range really helps on those missing overnight punches. So for me, I go ahead and drill down to 10:11 and 10:12 because I know the missing in punches on the 11th. So that means I'm looking for a clock out punch on the 12th. And there it is right there. So it's 8:08 a.m. So they clocked in at 10:11 and they did not clock in on 10:11, but they clocked out on 10:12. So we need to get the clock in time entered. And you're just going to click in that red box and enter that time and hit save. I do want to point out that there are these smaller red boxes here. That is just because the employee either clocked in too early, clocked out too late, or on some instances, you'll see no hours but this red, and that is simply that they did not work their schedule. So the schedule was probably in this instance that he was supposed to clock out at 8 o'clock, and they clocked out at 8:08. So they're a few minutes later. It's just to bring attention to the management team that that staff did not work their schedule. Correcting and changing time off requests. So once a PTO request has been approved, you'll need to cancel the PTO and the employee will need to request the accurate PTO. You're just going to open that control center and workforce that we talked about. You're going to select employee requests and then select all status. So here's your employee request, and it's automatically going to kind of have some check marks. If you change this drop down and select all status, it's going to give you all of those PTO requests. You can narrow it down by searching for request dates. And then again, we're going to want to cancel, not delete. So you'll cancel that PTO request and then let the staff know to go in and re-request a new for the correct day and time, or not at all if they ended up working the whole day. When you're approving time cards, the background of the time card will change. So if you pull up an old pay period that we've already been paid for, when you pull that up, it's going to be gray. That means you can't change anything. I've signed off on the time and there can be no more changes to that time to that time period. Right now, if you pull up current pay period, it's going to be a white background. So that white background means nobody has approved the time card yet. If the time card background is kind of a yellow color, the employee approved it and it's waiting on manager approval. If the background is purple, the manager approved it, but the employee did not. And green is what we want. Green is go. Green is the best of all. The green background means the employee approved the time and a manager approved the time. That's what payroll's looking for. Payroll wants to see the green backgrounds, and that means everybody's looked at it, everybody's approved it. So in approving your time cards, payroll recommends that you look at each staff and approve it. So the first way is the best way. So you're going to approve the time card while you're in there and while you're reviewing it. You've got this staff pulled up, you've corrected the missing clock in, everything looks good, and you're going to go ahead and approve it. There is a second way to approve. If you've already gone through all of your time cards, you've corrected all errors, you know all of your staff have approved, then you can kind of go in and approve multiple time cards at once. So on the workforce dashboard, there's that tile for unapproved time cards data view. You're going to select it. And again, you're going to want to double check that you've got the correct pay period and you have the correct hyperlink selected. So you're most likely your direct reports. Then you're going to select the individual time cards just by clicking here, or you can do select all. So it's going to depend what hyperfind you have pulled up. And then you're going to hit this approval. and select approve. There are going to be times where you've approved a time card and then the staff calls and says, oh my gosh, I approved my time and I forgot to tell you that I didn't clock in for a day and for a shift and I need you to enter some time. So not a problem, because you can remove that approval, make the changes as needed, and then you're just going to want to make sure that you reapprove after those corrections are done. Reviewing and approving salary time cards, it is a little bit different. You're going to toggle between the weeks. When you pull up the time card, it's only going to show 1 week, and then you're going to select this arrow to for next, and it will show the second week. There is also this list view, as Sandra helped show this one. There is a list view, and it will show the total hours at the top and each day broken down, and it kind of gives a status report of whether it's approved or not approved. But it does look a little bit different than this, so if you want to try that list view, please check that out. So you're going to review all the days and hours for accuracy. You're going to make sure that PTO and unpaid time off is applied accurately, and that there's a total of 40 hours per week with a total of 80. So this is what you're looking for. If there's more than that and you're having a hard time getting it corrected, reach out to payroll. We'll help, absolutely. So payroll tips for time card management and staying off of the Wednesday naughty list. Review your staff and your own time cards frequently. Resolve issues as they occur and make needed corrections daily. Don't approve a time card if it has a missing punch. It doesn't correct it, and now you're just gonna have to go back in, remove your approval so it can be corrected and for you to reapprove it. If there's one of those giant red boxes on that time card, don't hit approve. Get that corrected first, and then you can approve it. Manage time off requests daily, and always reach out. If you have a question or you have a problem or you're unable to get something corrected or it's creating other issues, just give us a call. We're gonna absolutely help you. The best thing I'm gonna tell you is if you're in a time card and you're trying to correct it and it's just doing, especially like those overnight shifts, and it's just kind of throwing other hours in or giving you more red boxes to correct than before, refresh that time card, get out of it, give us a call, and then we'll go from there. So if you, again, you can reach out to payroll@esmw.org, or just give me a shout out on Teams. Hey, Jen, you got a minute? And I'll give you a call and we can share screens and get the time card fixed. So also to assist you, we are able to review original punches. And then we can also see all changes, deletions, and additions. We can determine how the staff punched when you're trying to provide feedback to the staff, whether they're using the app or they're using the actual computer. So definitely give us a call and we can help. And then that's it. Does anybody have any questions? Anything along those lines? Well, if you do have questions, again, either put your question in the question and answer section or reach out to me in payroll or in Teams. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. If not, it looks like that ends our training for the day. And per Kate, I do happen to have one here napping at my feet. So Kate, I hope you enjoy the little, this is Luna, so. Got a little peek. All right. Thank you everyone so much for attending. And again, please reach out for questions. Thank you.